Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I thought I would do like a chit-chatty video today about how to create or where to start in terms of luxury makeup. I get a lot of questions in my comment sections. I even get DMs and sometimes emails sent to me from people who are curious about maybe entering the luxury beauty market. They kind of don't know where to start. You know, the things are expensive. So I thought I would give you my thoughts on luxury makeup in general and then kind of like where to go from there. So if you're interested in hearing where I think you could start with a luxury makeup kit, then just keep on watching. Before I jump into my recommendations, I just wanted to put out there that I think most luxury beauty brands really gear themselves towards an older population. And I'm talking about like 40 and up. And this is just an assumption on my part, but I feel like luxury beauty brands really market themselves towards this population. I think a lot of their products are geared towards concerns of 40s and older. And I don't mean that to disclude anyone younger, but I think that is their general focus. And that's going to be a little bit of my focus here when I talk about some of my recommendations and some things to think about in terms of luxury beauty. So I've been asked a lot in the past. I've always purchased drugstore makeup, but I'm getting a little bit older now and I feel like it's not looking very good on my skin anymore. I'm starting to spend more on skincare, so I feel like I should spend more on makeup. Where should I start? And my answer generally is always foundation. I feel like once your skin starts to show signs of aging, you really need to put down not just a really beautiful canvas, but you need to put down foundation that also has skincare benefits. I used to be someone that didn't like the mixture of the two. I thought, keep your skincare, keep your makeup. And I felt like whenever it was kind of combined, that it didn't do either really, really well. Well, I've completely changed my tune about that. One, because I have found a couple of products that are amazing at both. And two, I feel like at my age, it's like a missed opportunity to not be able to implement an additional sort of level of skincare. And so when it comes to foundation, I would look for one that has skincare benefits in there. The two that I love, and I've mentioned quite a bit, is the La Mer Soft Fluid Foundation and the Clé de Peau The Foundation. The La Mer foundation has the Miracle Broth in there. The Miracle Broth is what is in the La Mer skincare line. It is what they claim protects your skin and keeps it from aging prematurely. And same with the Clé de Peau. The Clé de Peau also has their like proprietary skincare blend in here. And while I can't say, yes, it definitely works, I look 20 years younger, I don't think that's the point. What I can say is that both of these products feel so good on the skin. When I've used less expensive foundations, I feel like I can always kind of feel it on my skin. I feel like by the end of the day, like I need to wash it off, like it needs to come off. And with these foundations and other luxury foundations that I have as well, I don't have that feeling. It just feels really, really great on the skin. I never have a bad reaction to them and they're just lovely. So I would start with foundation. This foundation I have heard works on an array of different skin types. I have an extremely dry skin type and I think this is fine for it. The Clé de Peau The Foundation I definitely would not recommend for anyone that doesn't have a dry skin type. Even normal, I mean maybe normal, even when I put this on, and again, I have extremely dry skin, this looks like, you know, I just have like shiny, just cream all over my face. And that's really what this is. I feel like this is a facial cream with some pigment in there, but it is so nourishing. It feels so great. It's actually what I'm wearing today. And it is absolutely lovely. But again, I think for dry skin. So if you don't have dry skin, I definitely recommend going to your counters, getting some samples, testing out some foundations that have interested you, because there are definitely some foundations in the luxury market that are better for normal to oily skin. I know Chanel has some great matte ones. I think Sicily also has one. It's in the bottle with the pump. I think that one is great. I think for like normal to more oily skin. Anyway, definitely get out there and take a look. But hands down, I would start with foundation. I think foundation, I mean, I think I'm stating the obvious, but I think it's so important. I think if you don't have a good foundation down, it does not matter what you put on top of it. It's just not going to look good. So foundation, definitely the place to start. The second place I would look into is concealer. And again, speaking as a 44-year-old, almost 45, my under eye concerns are very different from the under eye concerns of someone younger. So I need something that is moisturizing. I need something that's going to blur my fine lines. I need something that's not going to be drying. I will even give up coverage so that I don't have anything that's too cakey or too drying. And the one that I've been absolutely loving, and you guys know this because I've mentioned this a lot lately, is the Clé de Peau Radiant Corrector for Eyes. I have it in the shade Ivory. This is a light medium coverage. So that's not really the point. It really is supposed to just sort of brighten your eye area. It's supposed to nourish your eye skin. It really has a lot of skincare benefits in there. And just like the foundations that I talked about, it feels great on the skin, and I don't feel like I feel it when I apply it. It's like weightless, it soaks right in, and at the end of the day, I don't feel like it looks crusty, if you will. And while I have a little bit of color correction that needs to happen, I have sallowness around my eyes, I don't have like really deep dark circles under my eyes. If that is more your concern, I would definitely try the Clé de Peau the concealer, I think is what it's called. It's the one that comes in the stick. It's like their original concealer. This has a much higher coverage than their Radiant Corrector for Eyes. But what I love about this is that it doesn't look cakey. It doesn't look drying. It doesn't move. I don't feel like I even need to set this concealer, which is amazing. And it just looks great all throughout the day. I don't find that it fades. This is really, really amazing, amazing stuff. But with that said, definitely go out there and check out some other options. I know Sisley makes, I think maybe it's called like an instant corrector. I'll put a picture of it up. I don't have the actual product, but I have tried samples of it and I've tried it in store. It has some intense coverage, but again, it has like the Sisley botanical extracts in there, so it's very good for your skin. And when I have worn it all day, it feels great. It doesn't feel like I have like makeup sitting on my eyes. So that's why I like luxury brand concealers, because again, I feel like they have that additional skincare benefit in there. They address concerns that are a little bit more age appropriate for me versus what higher end and drugstore brands do, which is, I think, just super intense coverage. They really just like to add a lot of pigmentation to their concealers. And for me, that just ages my under eye area. So products like Tarte Shape Tape just don't work for me. Even when I use a little bit, I just feel like my eye area just looks inferior than when I use like the Clé de Peau products or the La Prairie that I have, or even the Chantecaille that I have. They just age my under eyes. The Urban Decay Naked Concealer, I've talked about how awful that is on me. The NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, that doesn't work on me either. And again, I think because luxury makeup brands are catering to a different audience, they are addressing different needs. And for me, that definitely works out, especially in the concealer arena. And along the same lines, powder. I think luxury powders have worked so much better for me than higher end and drugstore powders. And I've tried quite a bit of different powders of all levels, and the luxury powders are just far superior. I'm just going to shout out a couple here. Again, I urge you to go and try them out at the counters. But the Clé de Peau loose powder, that's what I have on my face today. It is just lovely. It's just mattifying enough. It doesn't make my skin look dry. It doesn't emphasize lines at all. It lasts all day. It has a little bit of like a light pink white cast to it. So hopefully it doesn't make your skin look ashy, but for me, it kind of like brightens up my skin. So this is lovely as a setting powder. Another setting powder I've been loving is the Chanel Natural Finish Loose Powder. Just like the Clé de Peau, it doesn't leave my skin looking dry. It doesn't emphasize lines. It has like a very nice, matte natural finish. I have it in the shade 20. So there are shades, and you'll want to obviously pick one that's appropriate for your skin tone, but it is a little bit more skin toned versus the Clé de Peau, which is a little bit whiter, a little bit brighter. So I really like the Chanel when I'm just looking for just a really nice, standard, nothing fancy, no fancy effects to my skin. I reach for the Chanel. It's lovely. And then some powders for setting powder. I do like the Sisley loose powder in Irsay 1. This definitely took me a bit of time to get used to because it does have some sparkle in there. But if you buff it out really nicely, it does look really beautiful on the skin. And same with the Guerlain Meteorites. Love this as a finishing powder. It doesn't have quite as much sparkle as the Sisley, but it has a beautiful, beautiful sheen, and it's just lovely. So those are just some of the powders that I love, but I really do find, and again, I'm speaking generally, but I really have not found a high-end or a drugstore powder that comes even close to the luxury powders that I have in my collection. And then I feel like I can say the same thing about pressed powders. So I just pulled out two that I love. This is the Charlotte Tilbury pressed powder. I've talked about this a lot. You guys know how much I love this, but it has such a fine, fine texture. It is so lovely on the skin. Again, no drying, no caking, no emphasizing of lines. Because this is such a light, weightless powder, the longevity of it isn't like a full day. I feel like at about 6 hours, I kind of see that it's faded quite a bit. The La Mer pressed powder has a little bit more coverage than the Charlotte Tilbury, and it definitely has a better longevity, but I don't find this to be quite as weightless as the Charlotte Tilbury, so it's definitely more of a powder that has like a little bit of coverage. So it's definitely something I like to use a lighter hand with, but it is very, very lovely. And I have plenty of other powders in my collection that I really enjoy. If you want like a really weightless, fine, fine powder, I suggest the Charlotte Tilbury. I also suggest any of the powders from Chantecaille. Totally, totally so finely milled, so silky. And if you want something with a little bit more coverage, the La Mer is great, like I mentioned. But when it comes to not looking dry and not emphasizing my lines, I don't think any of the higher end or drugstore powders that I've tried come even close. They always make my skin look a little bit dry. My skin will look drier as the day goes on. It'll eventually look a little bit cakey. I just have never had any luck. And again, because I think it's geared towards a younger set, they don't really have those fine lines to worry about. So I would definitely give the luxury beauty brands powders, both loose and pressed, I would give them a shot, especially if you feel like you've kind of like grown out of your less expensive powders. Maybe you feel like they're just starting to look a little bit cakey or whatever. Definitely try one from the luxury market. I don't think you'll regret it. So in terms of all the other makeup, I would say you can definitely find lovely, lovely products from the drugstore and high end like eyeshadow, bronzer, blush, things like that. I definitely have some great blushes from the drugstore. So those types of things, you know, while I'm just a luxury makeup junkie, so I love all of my luxury makeup in all of these categories. So one thing you may want to think about, and I just got a facial over at the Sisley counter, and the esthetician kept emphasizing, and she said everyone always focuses on their under eyes in terms of aging. Like everyone's obsessed with their under eyes and crow's feet and this and that. And she said what people ignore is their neck, their hands, and she's like, and their lips. She's like, you do not want to ignore those areas. And so if you are in the market for like a new lip gloss or something, I know Sisley just came out with these like lip oils. These are lovely. I think they feel great on the skin, and they're supposed to have anti-aging properties in here. Same with the Clé de Peau Radiant Lip Gloss. I think a bunch of brands, luxury brands, have lip products with like anti-aging properties in there because of the issue. I think Sisley just came out with lipstick in a tube. It has like a gold case. It has, I think, like black zebra stripes on it. And that lipstick is supposed to have skincare benefits in there as well. So I think you're going to see a lot more skincare benefits in lip products from the luxury market versus the higher end in the drugstore. And if lips are a concern of yours, this can definitely be a good place to spend your money. And then the last thing I just want to touch upon, because I'm going to do like a dedicated video on this, probably a few dedicated videos on this, but that's makeup brushes. And I have tried all kinds of makeup brushes. I used to be subscribed to that Live Glam Morphe brush because when I was getting back into makeup, I didn't know like what brushes did what or what kind of shapes I would like. So I thought, let me just get some inexpensive brushes and see what kind of shapes I like. And then maybe I can kind of like trade them in for, you know, better makeup brushes, which is basically what I did. Like now I'm pretty confident with what kind of shapes work with my eyes or what I like or how I work. But there is zero comparison between luxury makeup brushes and inexpensive makeup brushes. There really just is no comparison. You know, I love my Sonia G brushes. I don't think you can go wrong with any of these. I love my Tom Ford brushes. I love my Hakuhodo brushes. I love my Chikuhodo brushes. This is the powder brush that I absolutely love. And I'm not saying you need to go and get natural hair brushes. I know some people are opposed to natural hair brushes, but I think even when it comes to synthetic hair brushes, the better quality synthetic hair brushes are worth the money. Like this La Mer powder brush, this is synthetic hair, but it behaves and it works very, very similarly to natural haired brushes. So I think brushes are definitely, definitely worth the money. And there's something that you use every single time you put on makeup. And investing in brushes is probably the smartest place you could put your money, because you're going to whip them out and use them with everything. Like you're going to use this eyeshadow brush with every single eyeshadow you have in your collections. So it's worth every single penny, in my opinion. So that's it for this video. I just really wanted to give you guys some thinking points, some places to start. I hope you don't mind that this wasn't like a go out and buy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because I don't think that there is a makeup kit that suits everyone. But I did want to kind of give you some general guidelines to kind of just go with, and where I think the luxury market really, really excels. And I think you could probably tell that it's like complexion products: foundation, powders, concealer. I would throw in a lip product in there if that's your concern, and makeup brushes. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Comment down below with any suggestions maybe. Again, I have dry skin, so if you have normal, combo, or oily skin, I would love to hear from you. If you have any luxury makeup suggestions for others out there, let's get the conversation going down in the comment section. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video.